Hello, hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to tonight's live readings. We are here, and I'm taking live readings. This is something we do. If you've never been here before, I'll explain how it works in a minute. How is everybody doing coming off of eclipse season? Let me know in a comment below. How are you feeling? I feel good. I feel so energized, so ready, so much of an energy shift in the last few days in particular. So I'm curious, how are you all feeling? I know sometimes the eclipse did just happen last weekend, I think. Actually, I don't know which day. Recently there was an eclipse. Maybe it was Sunday. Anyway, um, there was an eclipse and it's a solar eclipse and it was in Aries, and I always feel the best during Aries season, Aquarius season, or when the moon's in Leo. Those are my top three. Do you guys have your tops of like, I always feel the best when the stars are this certain way? Now, of course, we can always shift our energy regardless, right? I definitely believe in us being the influence in our life rather than kind of waiting for the planets to kind of like do it. I definitely want to work with the planets and what they're doing. And if you're like me and you follow astrology, sometimes people think that you're giving the planets too much power, but they just don't know what they're missing. They don't know what it's like to see Uranus hit a planet in your chart and to remember what kind of crazy ass change happened. They don't know what it's like to go back and look at how the planets affected your life and feel like you are connected to something greater than you. And I think that the planets can actually be a very grounding force for us among a very woo woo, new age, spiritual culture that we can kind of float off into the ethers, right? The planets can tether us back and anchor us back into our solar system and our humanity. I love the planets as a cosmology because I used to kind of be into like simulation theory and the matrix and that kind of like idea that we're living in a simulation, and if we just imagine something, it can happen. But the problem, and I heard someone else say this and it changed me. It changed me. And that was basically, and I feel like she explained it so much better than I'm about to, but when we think of the universe as a simulation, there is no organic connection to good, to a force of good. When we see ourselves as in a simulation, we're projecting AI onto our spirituality. We're turning our spirituality into ChatGPT by thinking, and it's almost like turning AI into God, turning machines into God. If we believe we're in a simulation, that means God is a computer. And I know that, like, when I thought about this for the first time, I was like, oh shit, maybe that's a psyop too. Maybe the whole simulation theory is a bit of a psyop here, where it's getting people to become more, I, because like they say, like, if we think of the God concept, right? It's like humans were made in God's image. And if humans were made in God's image and God is a simulation, who cares if you put a freaking chip in your head? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes that feel normal when it shouldn't feel normal, in my opinion. All right, now that I got into something super controversial, um, and it's like, I don't know. I just think that I think humanity is beautiful, and I think we gotta fight to stay human, in the right ways. There's something about intuition and feeling and heart that is like we don't want to get lost in this Pluto and Aquarius stuff. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on all that if you want to. How was your eclipse? How are you guys doing? Welcome to anyone who's new. Welcome back to those of you coming back. Tonight we're doing live readings and I've added a new one for fun. The new one is Lunar Returns. I'm going to tell you guys about what kind of reading you can book. There is a link. Wait, is there a link in the chat? There is not. Let me add one. Let me add it. I thought I did that already, but nope. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There we go. There is a link in the chat to book. If you know you want yours, you can book it now. And so now there's 3 types of readings. Type 1 is natal. That's going to be a snapshot of your chart, what the sky was like when you were born, and what stands out to me. What I see in your chart about you. 2 is transits. That's going to be the bigger influences, starting with the outer planets of Saturn and Uranus and Neptune and Pluto even, and Jupiter, those bigger ones, to see what kind of phase you're in. And also with transits, I'm just looking at what's the most relevant to your life at the moment. But I added a beautiful new one. And the new one is called the Lunar Return. Let me know in a comment if you've heard of the Lunar Return chart or you know what it is. A lot of people have heard of the Solar Return or the Saturn Return. The Saturn return is like every 28 years, Saturn comes back to where it started, and you get a big surgence of Saturn themes in your life of like seriousness and responsibility and commitment and even guilt and feeling bad about like what you didn't achieve or getting consequences for things you did achieve. So that's Saturn, but every planet returns. Some of them return after we die, right? Because they move so slow. But some of the planets, like the moon, returns all the time. The moon returns every 28 days back to the place it started from. So every 28 days we get a lunar return, which is when a new cycle of moon themes, like our emotions, how we're getting taken care of, how we're feeling, our home life, our domestic life, our diet, our food, how we take care of ourselves, our physical body. Those are all ruled by the moon. Our relationships with women, whether we're getting support or lack of support, and what that looks like, and how we're nurturing ourselves and others. That's all going to be shown by the lunar return. Actually, the lunar return chart, in my opinion, is kind of like an energy snapshot of your month, of what areas are going to be more focused on, what's going to go slower, what's going to go faster, what's going to be activated by Uranus, what's going to be sped up or frustrated or aggravated by Mars, what's going to be enhanced by Jupiter or Venus, or, what areas you're going to see more, you're going to see growth, or you're going to be able to see improvement that month. And all kinds of other things, like which areas of life are working in sync, which areas of life might require adjustments, and, what are the big themes of the month. That's all going to be seen from the lunar return. So I added the lunar return to these readings, and you can get one right now. I think they're so fun because, it's like good to sometimes just have a snapshot of like what's happening now, what's happening in the immediate future. And another reason this is good is because if you're booking your reading to kind of test me out as a reader, kind of just to see, does this style work? Does the things she say actually happen? The lunar return is the best one because the things that will manifest from that lunar return are going to happen within the month, within 28 days, sometimes sooner. So you'll be able to validate it sooner. And also, if you're just having emotions, you just want a reading to be about, if you want to do that, Cody, you can definitely book that. So you can just do transits and we'll do that. So you have those 3 options now. I'm very excited about the lunar return option. I think it's great. I want you guys to think it's great, because I just meet people who don't think it's a big deal. It's like, it's just the moon. No, you guys, it's like, it can still tell you about real tangible things. And sometimes I think it can be a little bit more of like the energy side, right? So Rather than kind of some of the dry astrology, like this planet's here and like the more traditional stuff that I have gone into lately. Hopefully I didn't turn boring. I was wondering that today, actually. Okay, cool. Thanks, Cody. Here, I'll show this comment. Cody's gonna book for transits from the sun the sun as the first house. So you can actually read everything in your chart from your rising sign, from your sun, or from your moon. So that is another thing. Maybe I should add that to the list of options instead of lunar return, or in addition to it. For anyone else, you can book using the link, and these do tend to fill up pretty quickly, so that's a good idea. And I'm going to, let me see. Make sure I have everything set up here. And close some of these freaking tabs. Does anyone else have that issue? Where you have 5 billion tabs open? Sometimes I just shut my whole browser and just start over. It's amazing. Life advice. Timer, that's what I was going to do, timer. Oh yeah, I decided to do 7 minutes now. Because I decided I always go over the 5 minutes. But 10 minutes is too long. So we're going to do 7 minutes. All right, so we have the link in the chat. It's pinned to the top. Readings are done in the order they're going to be received. So whoever books first will be first, and then we'll go from there. And it's Wednesday, so that's cool too, because Wednesday rules astrology. Wednesday actually does, because Mercury is the traditional ruler of astrology, but I mean, I'm going to do astrology every day. That's not what I meant to do. Okay. Okay, so we're ready. We're ready for some live readings, you guys. And just for anyone who hasn't done this before, one of the things to do that if you're thinking about getting a reading tonight, or you do one in the future, is to make sure your live is on the current moment. I've actually had some people be confused by this, because like whenever you jump on a live, sometimes it'll take you to the beginning, but maybe I've already been talking for 20 minutes. So if you're booking, always make sure you have pulled your little, if you're like on your computer, you want to pull that bottom little thing to the right, the little red thing. Courtney, hey. Oh yeah, I think I saw your comment earlier and I was like, if she responds, I'm not going to see it in here because it's like the other channel. But anyway, hi. Hi, I hope you're doing all right. And hello to everyone else who is here and just not in the comments. Feel free to say hey if you want to. And we're going to do some live readings. I think we're going to get a few here soon. And you can still book when that's happening. So if you're watching me read someone and you decide, ooh, I do want to get one, then you can just go ahead and book whenever. And then after the reading, I'll just shout out whoever's next and then go in order. So that's how we do that. But if you can get your reading, like if you can book it, your reading will be done today. Oh, shoot. You guys booked and I just saw both of them. So Courtney got in sooner, so she'll be first, and then Cody, you'll be next. And then after Courtney and Cody, it's going to be open. So whoever books next will be after that. Yay, you're doing the lunar return. Sun is first house. Yes. Okay, that's going to be super fun. And hello to Iris as well. Let me go ahead and I'm going to get Courtney's chart up now. And let me do that. So I'm going to check out when your lunar return starts and just we'll see when it starts because it could be any time. It looks like, okay, the 7th, so that month will be ending soon. Yeah, so we'll do April 3rd because your lunar month starts tomorrow. So that's a pretty easy one. Haha, Courtney wins, yeah. Sorry, Cody. You guys are gonna have competitions pretty soon. Oh my gosh, that will just make me miss this. Okay, here we go with Courtney's chart and okay. So Courtney, this is your lunar return starting tomorrow, and I'm going to just do a couple things here to get myself ready. Okay, there we go. Yep. Okay. So it happens to be the same rising as natally, which makes my job much easier. And let me set the timer here. Okay, so starting tomorrow, the month, moon in the 12th, facing fears, dealing with, uh, dealing with meditation. It's interesting because it feels like there's a potential to grow or to experience growth in private, like have downtime, contemplate, do Jupiter in the 12th things, which is like pray and, call on spirit guides or go into your subconscious mind, and like do some stuff in there and just be by yourself, contemplate, withdraw, maybe, work behind the scenes a little bit because, the moon rules you, right? So it kind of says you're going to be in the 12th house this month. Now, some of that might be, and I know what's going on. So like when you lose something and you're like facing the fear of losing it and dealing with the adjustments and that kind of thing. But also there's a lot that can be done with this moon in the 12th where you're processing emotions, you're journaling, you're dealing with, doing things that help you see how you feel, processing emotions you didn't have before, or realizing how you feel about certain stuff. And that would be, I think, like the way to use it is to realize how you feel about certain stuff and do that consciously. Now, the moon, I'm looking here, the moon is going to square Mercury this month. So that's like, well, a change of plans, a change of a long-term plan, reevaluating what you believe about something, reevaluating a plan for long-term travel, maybe the desire to do something meaningful. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to leave the country. Maybe not. Maybe there's an adjustment that needs to be made between your long-term goals versus the 12th house isn't like your short-term goals or anything, but it's like, this is very much like spiritual path. What do I believe? How do I face things? Da, 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 da. Okay, let's talk about something else more positive too. Sun conjunct midheaven. Okay, you do have the potential to be seen in your career, but it's like you're also going to be working behind the scenes too. So, with work related stuff, I would actually, if I knew nothing, I would predict this as a positive month. Why? Because you could be recognized. You can be recognized for what you do. So, is that going to be where you are? Is it going to be something else? I don't know. But Sun in the 10th is you might just shine more in your career. You might shine more when you're in public. You might make an impression in public. Really good month. Like, I mean, this isn't going to happen all the time in the lunar return where you have like exalted sun conjunct your midheaven in the 10th house, right? Because you're only going to get one lunar return a year with the sun in Aries. So that's once a year. It's around this time of year every year. Actually, no, forget I said that last part. But I mean that is true though. No, that is true. Only once a year, 1 month out of the year, the sun will be in Aries, right? It'll be in the different signs. But your midheaven's going to change in the lunar return chart every month. So like this isn't something you see all the time, a planet conjunct the midheaven. And the sun is all about visibility. So if you're trying to get visibility, you want to be seen, you want to be recognized, you want to get promoted. I mean, I know there's change and stuff happening, but like I would predict that you could still experience growth through letting your achievements be seen. And that I would predict this would be a good month for that activity, regardless of the other things. Now, we do got Neptune here, which is showing the unsure, the unsure, I don't know what to do, what's the next step, am I on the wrong path, kind of questioning the fog. I don't like Neptune in the 10th because it's like the 10th house is where you're heading in your life direction and your role in life, your job, your career, your title, your skills, what you're doing in the world. Neptune makes that experience confusing. It makes you doubt it. It makes you feel like you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. You could be doing the exact right thing, and Neptune's like, but what if it's not good enough? So that's why I don't like Neptune here. So it does show a month of not necessarily knowing the next step to take and having to rely on your intuition to make a decision or to proceed in your career path. And also that has to do with money. Money might also be a very, visible topic for the month, but we do have Jupiter sextile the sun. In this chart, the sun applies to that sextile. So I feel like you might still be sort of coming into a way of growing your income, even if you don't know what it is yet. There could be, and I don't want to promise like there's more money on the other side of something, but you might just feel that. You might feel like you're moving toward a potential somehow moving towards some kind of potential financial increase that hasn't quite manifest yet. And so it's that feeling of like, how do I focus on making that financial next step? And then, okay, Pluto in the eighth means your relationships might change throughout the month. You might rely more on someone intimately. You might need to take a loan. Now, maybe not. But Pluto in the eighth does give a feel of like who you trust or your connections with others, your deep connections, the people you really can rely on. It doesn't mean they're going to change for the worse, but that I would think it's more like maybe deepening connections. That's really what I think. And I also think with Pluto in the eighth, maybe there's a need to focus in on your own self when you're making decisions or when you're proceeding. With Pluto in the eighth, sometimes there's too much sharing. Sometimes there's too much of the walls we need between other people. Sometimes there's not enough of those. Right? So with Pluto in the second, the opposite, this would be like, I'm so focused in on my own self, I'm not thinking about other people. Pluto in the eighth is like, I'm thinking about other people so much and sharing and how my life affects theirs that I'm not thinking enough about my own self. So if you're wanting to work with the energies like that, this is a month to North Node in the ninth. Consider the like zoom out to the bigger picture of life of like where, let me see, what is the bigger quest of your soul? Even if you don't know the answer, letting that be the guiding force instead of South Node in the third is like, how do I pay my bills today? Okay, now I did it. Now I get up tomorrow. How do I pay my bills today? And then get up tomorrow. How do I get food today? It's like too much emphasis on the embodied side of life, the physical needs and the how you spend your time and where you're going to the grocery store. And like you can get stuck in the day-to-day stuff Whereas that North Node in the ninth is going to call you out of that to what would God have me do? What would the universe have me do? What is the bigger purpose? I don't mean don't pay your bills. I just mean, to work with the energies, it's paying the bills and kind of considering the bigger, grander scheme of things and what quest you're on in life and what you're sacrificing for that now, what's worth sacrificing for. That is it. And then Mars conjunct the ascendant. And then we'll be done with this one. Busy, busy month. Mars on the ascendant can be a month where you have a lot of shit to do or you have a lot of decisions to make, right? Because Mars can be the decision, that quick action, the severing. And then Mars is trine Venus. So even though it's also trine Saturn, it does feel like, big, busy, busy making big decisions, busy doing things that are going to be long term that maybe you don't get the payoff today. Working hard now, putting a lot of energy out there towards some kind of long-term commitment that maybe you're just going to make, one step at a time progress for that could possibly, I don't know, get you more status or get you more visibility in some way. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Okay. Oh, wait. Sorry. I thought that was, I know. Facing fear sounds exactly right. Yeah. Okay. Feel free to share any more if you want to. I'm going to stop there because of time and then we'll go on to the next reading. And if anyone wants to book next, there's openings. So we are on Cody now. So let me get your chart up, Cody. It's the whole North Node Pisces vibe. That Mars is so real. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just Mars on the ascendant. It's a not fully out of shadow Mars. So it's like we're doing a lot of shit and we're busy, but we might not really know why. Or like we're not ready. We just have to get up and go. Like we're not ready. It has to be done though, kind of a thing. That's how it feels. Yeah, that's how that feels. Okay, let's go on now to Cody. I'm going to pull up your chart. And do transits from the sun. Wait, hold on. Since Neptune moved into Aries, you've been happier, but I'm not. Yeah, I will correct you. I do that. I'm not trying to be mean, but maybe it is Neptune. I hate Neptune. I have too much Neptune. So to me, it's like we already have too much of this. We don't need more. We don't need more questioning and like not knowing the edges between ourselves and other people and compassion. Like we don't need more of this. Thank God I have a strong Mars. Okay. We're going to do Cody's transits from the sun starting now. Okay. And so let's put on the timer. The sun, Mars in the same sign as the sun. So that's like, again, being busy. It can stimulate your desire to be yourself, right? It can just strengthen or bring more energy to your own sort of identity, your body. So more focus on things that relate to your current goals. Excuse me, more focus on things that relate to who you are. So sometimes that's like, are you going to move or something else? It's like a life decision, but it's like it's stimulating your desire to go after your goals and stuff. It's kind of starting to fade here though, so I wouldn't say that's like the biggest thing. I would say that was probably bigger a while back, but also it's Mars that's not fully out of retrograde, so it's like it's almost like we want to be doing more, but we don't feel like it. Or like, you know, maybe being busier or maybe being more concerned about who you are as a person and things that relate to your job, your outer identity in life. Okay. I'm really just feeling this right now. Hello, Jupiter, Moon, Venus, and Mercury. So this is in your 12th house right now. So Jupiter is in your 12th house from the sun, giving you more insight when you are meditating or more possible, even psychological, like well-being, balance, solutions to problems related to fears. Moon in the ninth also, I mean, moon in the 12th from the sun, also like facing fears at the moment, and just Moon Jupiter is a nice monthly aspect we get every month. And having it be on Mercury and Venus, especially, is not a problem. So that could just mean, okay, Venus in the 12th from your sun is kind of like you're going to enjoy your quiet time by yourself where you're getting insights, Mercury. So we know this about you, right? You're going to love it when you get a download, when you learn something new, when you kind of figure yourself out to a deeper level, like self understanding, understanding universal energies, connecting with, even sometimes feeling a connection to other people who are suffering, sometimes wanting to help people through their own spiritual crisis or through their own, let me see, other challenges, and maybe wanting to help. Okay. But also, how's it affecting you is you get more bang for your buck for like praying and like meditating and doing those things that kind of activate the subconscious mind and everything. So Uranus is hitting Jupiter in the 11th from the sun. So, did we talk about this for your social media? Definitely, a good time to kind of keep putting energy out there for that. I think that also a good time for making friends, right? Because Uranus is just going to like activate that Jupiter in the 11th of like making friends, social life, community, connection, and it just being like it's on fire, it's inspired, it's happening. Okay. And then let me see what else. Okay, so then Saturn in the ninth from the sun. That's like a time when you are kind of serious about your beliefs. You maybe you finalize or stop believing a certain thing, or you commit to a new belief system. Maybe it's like, oh, now I'm doing Buddhism or now I'm doing something else, right? So it doesn't have to be bad or anything, but it can also have you studying a lot to prepare for something work related in the future. And yeah, we should talk about Neptune because it does square your sun. So then Mars in the ninth, I know we've talked about that. Venus, Saturn passing Mars in the ninth is like, I don't know, maybe realizing some deep, serious things about what matters to you. Because the ninth can also be like our purpose and stuff, right? And sometimes Mars is like, I want to get there. I want to get to the, I almost said promised land, like wanting to be on your path and wanting to know that you're on the right path and caring a lot about that, caring a lot about beliefs, caring a lot about whatever, if there's religious stuff or spiritual stuff you're studying. Saturn might really bring that to a culmination where you can become more of an expert on the things you've learned. Venus can have you enjoying that process, but it can be like, on one hand, you might feel like the things you want to learn are, you're less, on one hand, you're less fanatical about, not that you normally are, but on the other hand, you're more serious about. So it's like maybe there's something going on where you're studying something or you're learning something where it's less about how it feels and it's more about the outcome you think you're going to get by doing it. I want to move on to Neptune so we don't miss that. Neptune is coming into a square with the sun. So the good sides of that can be there's good sides. It's like changing your identity. What do you want to change? Who do you want to become? Right? The sorry, I cannot talk. The ability to see who you are and be like, this is who I am right now. But Neptune hits the sun and you're like, wait, am I? What? Who? I thought I was this. Am I that? So that can actually be a cool experience when you are becoming who you want to become, right? When you are in the process of trying to make a big change in life. Neptune Sun to me is kind of like the concept of anime or like, when the extreme example, when a famous person gets famous, it's like, um, oh my God, like it's cool. Like everyone thinks it would be so cool, but if it's you happening, it's like there's a part of you that's like, is this really me? Is this real? Right? So that can happen anytime with anything, not just fame, but any level of success or big change in life that we're not used to, where it's like, oh my God, is this really real? Is this really happening? So there's that side of it, but I don't want to make it seem like it's going to be something bigger than it is, because sometimes that Neptune Sun transit, that square, can be almost like feeling like you're the caterpillar in the cocoon, where if someone asks you who you are, you're going to tell them the old thing, but you don't necessarily, you're not the old thing, but you don't know what you are yet. So it's that transitionary experience. Other things that can be happening here, actually, first, what you can do with this is change. You know what I mean? Make all the changes, because it's like what where your identity is normally a very solid thing for all of us. When Neptune hits the sun, it's no longer that, which means we kind of have to be more, I want to say, careful too, that we don't change into a worse identity, that we don't let ourselves kind of slip and into like, oh, I'm not that good. I thought I was going to be, because Neptune can be a downer sometimes, it can be a little bit of a downer, but there's other stuff too, which could be like compassion for others, more of a driving force in your public image, especially because it's in the 10th house. And emotions, right? Emotions being a feeling state. Venus, Neptune, square the sun on the 2nd of May. Excuse me, I'm looking at the second because this is more of an exact aspect. Not exactly, but it's the degree. So, creating a certain public image, coming off a certain way, having a facade, having an allure about you in a public situation or a scene, it's like a scene of a certain vibe that maybe isn't real, but it's like a cool aesthetic or a cool impression that you make on someone or something that has to do with a changing identity you're trying to achieve. Maybe you decide you want to, I don't know, change your look or something at this time, and that's what this is. Could totally be that, especially related to your more public image look. I'm not saying you have to or you need to, but it can be something like that. Yeah, it can also be like, let me think about when Venus squares the sun. It kind of softens, right? Venus and Neptune square the sun are going to soften your normal, more, whatever your certain level of confidence is, whatever your normal baseline level of, this is who I am, it'll be softer. Okay. So again, maybe this would be a time, I would say, to surround yourself with positive influences that remind you to, I don't think you need this, but like anyone going through this, I think it would be more useful to be around the more positive influences of like, this is what is possible for you, because you might be more receptive to the energies of other people. What else? I feel like there's more. Um, I'm just going to check on your comments here. Oh yeah, I wasn't reading them. Let's see. Ooh, prayed recently and had phenomenal results. Yeah, you get like from Jupiter in that 12th house from the sun, you get what, like 2 more months of that. So that's like, yeah. And right now, that's the time. Do all the prayers. That's really cool. And then let me see what else. Being super active, improv. Yeah, yeah. So it might be an improv thing. I mean, that's what I was thinking for you with the Venus, Neptune squaring the sun in the 10th from the sun. It's like putting on a certain image, creating a scene, creating a vibe, feel like method acting. You know what I mean? That kind of thing where you become the character and you're just so easily influenced. Yeah, creativity is more important than success. Having newfound belief in fun versus pushing towards success. That really makes a lot of sense with, again, whatever your baseline for success is, right? And it's like Neptune's going to soften that and make it more like helping other people is the most important, or definitely perfectly timed. Sometimes you're taking care of people or you're doing things that require more compassion, not always. But sometimes it can be that. With Neptune, Neptune's sun is like the identity of the Neptune has sort of like that healing, sort of like that, right, that compassionate vibe too. So compassion can be infused into your identity, which is usually good because usually that means you have the means to be compassionate, right? You have the space in your life to care about others, or the space has to be made sometimes. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop there because of time. Hopefully that was good. We got to most of the planets there, at least the most important ones. Okay, let's see. Do we have new ones I missed? Nope. Okay. So, and then let's see what else Cody's saying. Starting a promotional party where other people can promote their tarot gifts, so giving back a bit. Cool. That's cool. I like that. All right. Thank you, Cody. Thank you again, to Courtney. And if anyone else jumping on, oh, I think I had this set for 7. So I'll change this because I tried going live earlier and like no one showed up and I was like, what the hell? So I realized afterwards it was because there was a box that wasn't checked. That really matters. Anyway, I'm rambling, but the point I'm trying to make is that I'm going to move the time here and see if any. Let me know in the chat if any of you were trying to book and could not, because I wasn't paying attention to that. I'm going to fix that. And then if there's someone out there really trying to book right now, I will hang out for a little bit. Not what I wanted. Okay. So that should work. Let me check it. Yeah, that's working. Okay. So this is basically the last call for anyone else who wants to book this evening. You can use the link at the top of the chat to book, and you can get a reading on natal charts, transits, or lunar return. Natal chart is the things about you, what I see in your chart that's interesting, that's different, that's unique, and what the problems are, the solutions are, how to work with them when possible. And if you do transits, it's more like what's happening, what the planets are activating at the moment. And if you do lunar return, it's kind of like the energy of the 28-day cycle. So those are the options. And we'll see if anyone else decides they want to book. And if you do book, feel free to let me know in the chat as well. All right. And then we'll just hang out for a few more minutes and see if anybody else is doing that. And then I am going to well, I'll tell you the other readings I have up, the other videos. We did Neptune in Aries. That just happened. That's a big, big, big transit. We did the solar eclipse in Aries, and we did the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So don't be all scared of eclipses. I try not to do doom and gloom predictions. And the eclipse was literally on my ascendant, and I'm just fine. At least I think I'm just fine. But I did not have some crazy ass horrible thing. And also the last eclipse. You want a story, Cody? Story about what? The last eclipse, Saturn was actually, there was an eclipse in the last cycle where Saturn was conjunct my moon in the eclipse. So Saturn was in Pisces on my moon. So I thought something really, really bad was going to happen. And nothing bad happened. And I'll tell you another story. I've told this story a bunch of times, but I think I can't do this enough, which is tell you a transit that I thought that was going to be the end of the world, and it wasn't. Because sometimes that's what you need when you think something's going to be really bad. You need like a physical thing to show you, you know? Because I don't know if you guys ever do this, but sometimes I do think like, oh no, Saturn's hitting my moon. It's a bad one, right? And I've seen bad transits, so I'm like, shit. So I'm all worried. Saturn's going to hit my moon. What am I going to do? What am I going to lose? What horrible thing's going to happen? The first time, my manager was on vacation. I had a shitload of work to do. I didn't get paid more for that extra work, and it was really busy. And I just had more on my shoulders. But what is the energetic theme that we see for everyone when Saturn hits the moon that this falls under is lack of support. And because I'm an adult and I don't have that much support because I'm like a grown ass woman, that's the support I had in my life at that time. You know what I mean? Like if I had like a bunch of friends and we all talk about our feelings, then maybe like one of them will be gone or we wouldn't meet that week, you know? So, but when I was little, Saturn hitting my moon was when my mom left and I went to live with my dad and stepmom, and that was not like a happy one because it was lack of support when I really needed it, right? So there's a difference. And sometimes when we've already been through a transit, even if the next one is a similar kind of a thing, usually it doesn't have the same sting to it because we know this rodeo and we know how to navigate it. So that's something to consider, is that that lack of support, for example, in a different season of life didn't affect me because I'm not a 9-year-old kid now, right? So there's that. Now, the second time Saturn hit my moon, my roommate was gone. And my roommate does a lot of things to make the house feel like a home, right? Like when she's here, it feels like home. And when she's not here, it doesn't feel like home to me. So it didn't feel like home for a few months, and that was fine, right? Because like, again, that lack of support wasn't something that I was like crying over, you know what I mean? So there's that. Now, the other transit recently that I was freaking out about, I still don't exactly know what's going on, is Pluto squaring Mars. And the reason I was freaking out about this is because I have Mars in Scorpio, conjunct Pluto, conjunct the South Node. Kurt Cobain had Mars in Scorpio, and Kurt Cobain had Mars in Scorpio in the same house as my Mars in Scorpio. And Kurt Cobain killed himself. So it does not mean if you have that placement, you're going to kill yourself, but just there is an internal struggle with Mars in the third. And what I've learned about this placement is a lot of times third house planets are going to describe the people you're around. It doesn't mean now I don't have those Mars and Scorpio problems, but I cannot tell you how many times in my life having Mars in the third house in Scorpio, I've been around people who and I know everyone is to a degree, but like who will lie and who will just try to do anything possible to upset you, who will be secretly scheming and plotting against you, who will just try to play on every fear you have. Like, it's a real thing. That Mars in Scorpio is a real thing. And it has really, like, lots of pathological liars have come across my path in life. And maybe that's part of that square, I think, is those challenges sort of coming up again, because that's something that I've noticed recently. But it's not the horrible, like what I imagine with Mars and Scorpio being squared is like psychological torment, abuse, um, like serious abuse, which can be it sometimes. I'm kind of rambling, but I will say what yeah, I think also Pluto, sometimes when Pluto hits a planet, there's a feeling of surrender, right? And that's probably been a lot of what this is like this psychological surrender of like, Mars with the South Node sometimes is like not winning, not accomplishing, not achieving. And so it's like that's probably what that square really is like the stress and the pressure of having to surrender, that like you only can put in the work. You can't really guarantee that you're going to reach an outcome. And I think I'm being maybe too general there, but I had a lot of negative images of what could be happening. So anyway, that was a bit of a ramble. And let me see. No one else has books, so I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Let me go ahead and shut off my thing. Wait, did I? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Oh, I thought I messed it up. Let me just shut that off now before anyone else books. Okay, so that is where we're going to leave it. What happens when Jupiter goes through your first? All the stuff you learned and the quiet qualities you developed when Jupiter was in the 12th. It's like the more you do the Jupiter in the 12th thing, like the more prayers you do now, the more growing and contemplating and meditating stuff leads to growth in your actual life, like real tangible growth. But also for you, it's Jupiter and Cancer in the first. So that's like, I would definitely, if we haven't done this, we need to go back and see, or you can go back and see what happened 12 years ago when Jupiter was in Cancer before and what like new life opportunities you had. But then we need to weigh that against the other transits, and everyone is different, but most people, good Jupiter stuff is like more happiness, more connection, especially in Cancer. Sometimes people have family stuff that goes well, or like they meet a partner during Jupiter and Cancer. Not everyone does, but like when it's a significant transit for you, or like you are teaching, right? You are being Jupiter. You are doing Jupiter stuff. That's another thing. Teaching or learning a lot, or like something, something along those lines. Those are the main things I can think of now. So yeah. All right. Thank you to everyone who showed up. We're going to do this again on Friday. Usually those are popping. And I have a bunch of videos you can binge watch, so go do it. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Watch the Neptune in Aries. And then if you still need more content, go watch my Planets in the Houses series. Neptune is one of them, and it's a good series of what the planets in the houses mean. So that's what I have. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you beautiful souls in the next video. Bye, guys.